I could run in Israel, and I think they said I've probably a 98% approval rating in Israel. It's like Israel. Look what I did for Israel. Thank you. But it's amazing to me because nobody's been worse to Israel than President Obama and Biden. Nobody. Nobody's been worse. Look at the Iran deal. It's the worst thing that ever happened to Israel. And they never moved the embassy to Jerusalem, thereby making Jerusalem the capital of Israel, which I did, and neither did any other president. And I understand why. They campaign on it, campaign. Every president said they were going to do it. No president did it until I came along. And the pressure, and I will tell you, the pressure from other parts of the world was enormous. And I've told the story a few times where I just turned off my phone, and when the king calls, and this one calls, and that one calls, we're calling about Israel. I say, tell him I'll get back in a couple of days. I'll get back in a couple of days. I'll be in next week. Kings and queens and prime ministers, and presidents and dictators, everybody was calling. Don't do it, don't do it. It'll be bloodshed all over the Middle East. Look what we just did, right? With the United Arab Emirates and Israel. And now others will follow. And we couldn't have done that if we had the deal with Iran. But they said, don't do it with Israel, don't do it. And I didn't take their call, and I did it. Had a ceremony, it was fine. Nothing happened. Remember, the world was going to blow up. This will be the end of the world. So I held my breath and I did it. And you know what happened? Nothing, except we did something that should have been done many, many decades ago. And every president violated their promise, their campaign promise, except me. And I did it. And by the way, I added in Golan Heights. That was a big one, too, by itself. And I did it. And, you know, it's incredible. I'd then call up these heads of state, many of whom are friends of mine. I get along. Actually, you don't hear this from the fake news back there. There's a lot of press. A lot of press. But, you know, you don't hear this from the people back there. But I actually have very good relationships with leaders, with many of them, and some of them just take too much advantage of our country, including some of our so-called allies. You know, some of them are the worst for taking advantage of us. But you don't hear that. Then, so what I did is I called some of the leaders the following week. Hi, how you doing? What's up? Oh, we wanted to talk to you about Israel, but you already did it. I said, oh, I wish I got to you a little bit sooner. But that's easier. That's easier than having somebody asking you over and over, please don't do it. But I could see there was a lot of pressure. I never understood why it wasn't done. It wasn't done because there's tremendous pressure put on the President of the United States by many other countries, much more than you would think, and different countries than you would even think. Countries that you wouldn't think even cared about it were calling, asking not to do it. So we did it, and it's been really quite historic, I guess, and I could run in Israel, and I think they said I've probably a 98% approval rating in Israel. So it's been good. And you know who appreciates it the most are the evangelical Christians. They appreciate it the most. So it's been quite a that has been just by itself. That's one thing out of many, many things, but that's been quite an interesting journey.